Welcome to the geriatric woodturner. I want to thank a couple of people first. I want to thank Mrs. Geriatric, who's my camera person, and I want to thank Mrs. Ma'am, who's my technological person. I couldn't do it without the two of them. And this website is supported by, literally, by as the Tweety turns. As the Tweety turns sells high-end bowl blanks. He has burl wood, he has spalted maple, he has figured woods, and he especially has, my favorite is the red flame box elder. He gives me the scraps and the cutoffs, and I make a lot of little bowls out of them. So thanks to him. Okay. Welcome to the geriatric woodturner. I want to thank a couple of people first. I want to thank Mrs. Geriatric, who's my camera person, and I want to thank Mrs. Ma'am, who's my technological person. I couldn't do it without the two of them. And this website is supported by, literally, by as the Tweety turns. As the Tweety turns sells high-end bowl blanks. He has burl wood, he has spalted maple, he has figured woods, and he especially has, my favorite is the red flame box elder. He gives me the scraps and the cutoffs, and I make a lot of little bowls out of them. So thanks to him. Okay. In this first section, what I want to do is to show you how to use 5 of my shop tools to start off with a board like this. This is a red cedar board, and I want to end up with squares like this, which I use to make the blocks for my bowls. So we're going to start off at the joiner. Here is the joiner. The joiner basically has a cutter here. This one has carbide cutters in it, and there's a series of them that cut the board, and this is a protective shield. And what I'm going to do is to push the board up against this fence and to run it over that cutter. And this table is a little bit lower than this table, and so it takes a thin shaving off. It makes the board completely flat, and it also makes it so that it's at 90 degrees to the fence. Okay, turn it on and run the board through a couple of times to get it nice and square and smooth. Okay, so this is the board. It's nice and smooth. You could hear at first it was hitting on one place and another place, but now it's all straight and flat. And then we'll set this down on the table when we're resawing it, and we'll set this up against the other fence when we run it through the table saw. here is my table saw. The table saw is a DeWalt contractor's saw, and I like it a lot because it doesn't take up so much space. And the one thing that I have here that I like to recommend to anybody that this is, I think it's a great safety feature. It's called the GRR Ripper, and what it does, it holds on both sides of the blade. So when I use this, I'm safe up away from this, and it holds this piece that's cut off, and it holds the piece here, and as I run it through, and it I just use it all the time now because it feels safer. Now I'm ready to go. I'm going to turn on the saw. It's kind of noisy, and I'm putting the nice jointed surface next to the fence, and I'm slowly pushing it through here, and I'm doing that with the gripper. And when you put the gripper on here, you push it with a so that it's holding it right up against the fence. And here goes. It's holding on to both of these, and so this is not flopping around, and it does a real nice cutting. So now we have the board is 3 inches wide, but it's still too thick. Okay, this is my bandsaw. And we're going to take our nice board here, and we're going to cut it into a narrower width. So if you cut a board this way, that's ripping, but if you cut a board this way, it's called resawing. So we're going to resaw this board and to 3/8 inch thick, and then we're going to take the 3/8 inch thick board and sand it down to 1/4 inch. So this is the next process. This is the blade, and these are the guides for the blade, and this is the fence, and I've got the fence set 3/8 of an inch from the blade, and I'm going to run this through there. If you're doing resawing, I think the most important thing is to have a good sharp blade, because if it's not a good sharp blade, the blade takes on a life of its own. So here we go. It's going to be noisy, so I won't be talking, but here goes. Here goes. Okay, so this is the board, and I'm going to bring it up close so that you can see it's got kind of a rough, you can see it's got kind of a rough surface on it now, but it is fairly even from end to end, so it looks like it did a nice job of cutting that. Okay. This is my Performex sander. I want to show you the parts of it a little bit. The working part of it is a drum on the inside that rotates, and the drum is covered with sandpaper, so it sands down the surface. And the second part of it is a handle here that controls the height of the thing. So as I move the handle in this direction, it goes down. And there's a on and off switch for the rotor, and then this controls the speed of this conveyor belt that carries the wood underneath the sander. And I've got my calipers here, and there's really no thing that says how high the thing is. What I do is run the board through there, and then when I run it through there, I check it with the calipers to see if it's the right thickness. Okay, so that it's at the right depth, and I'm going to start her up and let's go. Okay, one more will do it. So this has a, can you see that? Mm-hmm. This has a nice smooth surface on it, and it's a 1/4 of an inch thick. Okay, this is the last step. This is the miter saw, and the miter saw has got is really a rotating saw blade here with a safety shield over it, and it's got a fence along here so that it'll cut it exactly 90 degrees when I cut a piece. And I set a stop, which is just a block of plywood with a clamp on it, right exactly at 3 inches from the blade. And I'm going to trim the end off of this first, and then I'm going to cut a segment in.
No, that doesn't work.
So I'm going to cut the end off of it, and then I'm going to cut it to 3 inches. So I've got a nice square end, and I move it up against the stop. And here is the final product, the 3 by 3 by 1/4 inch square.